We're going to record the session tonight so that those who can't be in attendance tonight can review all the information and have access to all the same details as everyone here tonight. So thank you for joining us. My name is Karl LeClair. I'm the Public Art Supervisor for the City of Hillsboro. Also joining me is my colleague Leanne, who works with me in the program. She'll be helping out, coordinating some details and helping answer questions. So tonight we're here to talk about the new public artwork for Shute Park, which is a really exciting opportunity for us, as the project has been sort of a vision and in the works for at least half a dozen years. And for those of you that maybe viewed an earlier session for the original call that was posted, I'll cover some of the details of why we extended the deadline and updated the parameters of the call as we get into it. But I'm going to start with just a quick overview of the project, and then we'll look at the call to artists, kind of walk through it, talk about what we're looking for and applications from artists, and then we'll open it up at the end for any questions. And if we don't have a lot of questions, Leanne and I will try to identify some frequently asked questions or help to hopefully resolve anything that you may need to fill out the application. So the project for Shute Park, as I mentioned, really the effort began back in 2017. There was a loss of a well-loved piece of work in Shute Park, and Public Art program made a commitment to the community to bring investment back into the park. Shute Park is one of the city's oldest park and maybe one of the most active parks, with a full sort of year-long schedule and calendar of cultural celebrations, events, performances, community gatherings. In addition to that, it's active throughout the year with the surrounding city facilities, Shute Library, the Hillsboro Community Senior Center, Shute Park Aquatic and Recreation Center, in addition to supporting just everyday recreational outdoor gathering needs for the community. The park features a stage that's programmed by both city special events and also community-led events and performances. There's a generous open space, fields of grass. There's a couple play structures for kids and families to gather around, multiple picnic areas, a fire pit, and walking trails. And so super active park. It's located within the city's cultural arts district, and located on the south side of 10th Ave within the downtown area of Hillsboro. So it's a very sort of high profile project, and one that the community has been very engaged in so far. And so since 2017, we've been working with the community to help develop the parameters that we put out in the call. In 2018, there was a year-long effort led by the Public Art program to engage with the community to collect feedback about the types of themes and types of projects that the community wanted to see come to Shute Park. There's also some information collected about types of use, areas to avoid impacting within the park, how the community typically uses the park, and that helped to inform some initial direction. Unfortunately, COVID happened and put the project on pause, and we reviewed and synthesized all the data that was collected in 2018 and presented another community engagement effort in 2022 during the summer, and that as well was delivered through an online survey and in-person engagements at various cultural festivals and events and performances that happened both within Shute Park and around downtown Hillsboro. We sort of ran with the top themes and types of projects that we heard from the community in 2018 and represented those options back to the community to help to confirm the direction. Through the survey in 2022, we received and combined with the 2018 survey results, we received over 2,000 unique comments that helped to build the parameters of this project. And so What we're looking for is a likely a sculptural work or a site intervention, site design, could be, that helps to sort of acknowledge and celebrate the natural environment of Shute Park, which is filled with towering fir and cedar trees, and is celebrated for a green oasis, open space in downtown, and also a work that might help us to recognize and celebrate the diversity of Hillsboro. Hillsboro being one of the most diverse communities here in Oregon. And so there's, I think, a big opportunity there. We in speaking with the community, we learned about the major uses and functional areas of the park, and that helped us to determine the location for the project, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail, but is a centrally located planter bed that's somewhat of an underutilized space in the park. So the location has been determined, but we're really open and looking for a creative solution to meeting the community's goals. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll visit the call to artists and just kind of run through all the details in the call, and then speak about how to prepare your application and what the community-based committee will be looking for in that review process. So I assume all of you joining us today or accessing this recording have already navigated to our artist opportunities page and have accessed the full call to artists, which I pulled up here. And so I'll quickly run through this. The application deadline, as I mentioned, has been extended to November 6th of this year. We have a total contract for the project will be $245,000, open to artists over the age of 18 in the US. I just described the project, so I won't read that, but this will be a finalist phase for the project. And so we're looking to select up to 3 finalist artists that will invite to visit Hillsboro, to visit the site, to meet with the community, and to provide a short presentation about your practice and past experiences in public art. And we'll ask you to do this before developing design concept proposals. And the budget that we have for the finalist phase is separate and in addition to the $245,000. So each finalist will receive a $1,500 design stipend for design work and the presentation, and then travel reimbursable costs will be covered in addition to that as well. So really the total budget for finalizing the design, going through engineering, fabrication, delivery, installation, will be all included in the $245,000 budget. And we'll talk a little bit more about the site and construction details here in a minute. The general timeline for the project, we're here at the application workshop. Again, to reiterate the deadline, October 23rd, 5 p.m. Pacific time. We'll likely convene our community-based committee in late November, early December, and have notifications out by the end of the calendar year. And then we'll be planning and coordinating with the selected finalists to plan out the site visit sometime into the new 2024 calendar year. And then the dates are fairly fluid after that, depending on where we land with timing for the final site visit. But the project completion, we are looking for a May 2025 project completion. And this will allow us to wrap up on the construction phase of the project in time to not impact that schedule of community-based events that happen within the park. The project site, as we'll see, is located directly adjacent to the stage area. And so we'll want to make sure that the project is wrapped up and cleaned up in time for those events to take place. So I kind of described Shute Park a little bit already. There's a lot of detail in here about the park itself, and about the actual planter bed. So the planter bed is approximately 40 feet in diameter. It's raised from the grade of the surrounding cast concrete pathways, which serve as sidewalks, by 22-inch high brick retaining wall. And those bricks it's a standard brick, 7.5 inches deep. And the surrounding pathway, I think, is a real asset because it provides ADA accessibility to the site, but also during the construction phase, it can be used to drive and stage and park heavy equipment directly surrounding the site. So there's great access coming in from the west side from the Hillsboro Community Senior Center parking lot to, bring in heavy equipment to deal with demolition, soil removal, excavation, a crane for installation. So there's already great access both for the finished project for the community, but also for access during project development. There are some existing plantings in the planter bed that our parks maintenance team has a special interest in, and they have committed to relocating and replanting some of those plantings in the bed, along with a historic interpretive sign. A separate component of the project to complement the artwork will be a separate effort in the Parks Department to create a better and more well-improved historic interpretive site about Shute Park to tell the history of the historic park. So we're expecting that the project will be designed to fit within the parameters of this existing footprint of the planter bed. If it's a sculptural form with some height, it can overhang the surrounding pathways, but has to have a clearance of 9 feet to allow safe passage for bicycles and other parks maintenance equipment. So yeah, that kind of describes the location. Aerial view here of Shute Park. You can see the surrounding city facilities. So Shute Park Aquatic and Recreation Center just to the north across Maple. Hillsboro Community Senior Center is located just to the west, and the parking lot and staging area just south of there. Shute Park Library is located just to the east of the site, and the stage and performance area is just south of the planter bed, which is indicated here by the red pin. And the rest of the park is mostly open space, picnic areas, playgrounds. 10th Ave here turns into Tualatin Valley Highway, Oregon Route 8, which connects then up into downtown Hillsboro. So really a very well-connected area within the city. And then here's a better image of the planter bed. The historic interpretive sign that I pointed out is pictured here. Some of the larger plantings are the ones that our parks team is interested in saving. There is irrigation currently here within the planter bed, but that can be stubbed and removed. And there currently isn't electrical utilities here to the site, but it is adjacent, as you can see in the light post over here. So there's a possibility of being able to pull conduit into the site to include lighting and other electrical components. But we do want this project to be of durable materials. Shute Park is well loved by the community, and so we want to make sure that it's a feasible project to maintain. A little bit of the background. As I mentioned, Shute Park is one of the oldest parks in the city. It was actually acquired by the city in 1906 and then improved through a bond passed in 1920, and then had multiple iterations throughout the years, hosting the Washington County Fair. It had a roller skating and dance hall at one point in time, had some works progress administration improvements, hosted some World War II or just some drill grounds during the World Wars, and then largely is in the shape and form that it is today since about the mid-70s. The community survey results, we haven't listed all of that information here, but when we select the finalists, we'll develop a full package of information to provide each of the finalists that will include the full survey responses and all of the data that we collected. In addition to the surveys, we also spent a lot of time as staff out in the park observing how people were engaging with the park during different times of day, different days of the week, different times of the year. And so that helped to inform, various sort of patterns of activity from the community. So there's a lot of detail and information that we'll be able to provide to the finalists when they're selected. But I'll reiterate that we're looking for a sculptural form, site intervention, and artwork that will engage all of the different types of people from all ages, backgrounds, abilities, in some sort of mutual activity. So we're hoping that will be something interactive and engaging to bring all people from the community together. And the community really strongly voiced that they love the natural environment of Shute Park and don't want the artwork to really contrast too heavily with that natural environment. And then also a desire to help celebrate the diversity. So a couple different potential avenues for how the artwork will function. The desired outcome section, we're looking for an artist or a team of artists that have a portfolio of projects that are similar in scale and function and theme to what we're looking for. And so I'll talk a little bit about preparing your application in just a minute, but so we're looking for artists with some experience that can take on a project and the needs of this type of scope, which includes, managing the fabrication and construction phase. City staff will be coordinating with the selected artists during the construction phase, coordinating with our parks maintenance team. But project management will land with the artist contract. I've mentioned our community-based committee a couple of times, and so we are working with a committee of community members. Hillsboro has a Arts and Culture Council, which is a mayoral appointed committee of individuals who help to guide and provide an advisory capacity for our programming. And they'll be one of their members is serving on the committee and will also take the final project design through that body to approve the design concept or to collect feedback. We also have local community members who are both live and work in the surrounding neighborhood around Shute Park, and local artists on the panel as well to help provide that perspective for the committee. And so they'll be in charge of reviewing the applications, making recommendations for the finalist artists, and then staying involved through the project to review design concept proposals, community feedback, and make a final recommendation for the selected project. So the application instructions and requirements, we have two different means of submitting your application. So located within this PDF here at the bottom, we have a application form and then the instructions here on how to prepare either a hand-delivered or a mailed application. But we also have a Cognito form, which is our software platform that we use, and I'll share that in just a minute. So we're looking for the contact information, pretty straightforward. We're asking for a letter of interest, so not to exceed 1 page. And this is really your opportunity to tell us about you and your practice and why you have an interest in this project, and why you're the right artist for the project. These opportunities to include your voice in the committee review process are extremely important. So really, think about the information that you're including in that letter of interest, cater it to this particular project. We see a lot of artists that apply to projects with like maybe like a canned letter that has been submitted to other projects, and I think in a lot of cases the committee sees that through that immediately, and that maybe you haven't read the call, maybe you haven't read the parameters, you haven't responded to the particular needs of the project. So take a little bit of time and update your letter of interest so that it reflects why you're really interested in this project. We also have artist statement, bio, resume. So we're not asking for a CV necessarily or a full resume, but you could share, a statement about your work, or if you want to share some of your past completed projects or awards, this is the area to do that. Portfolio, past work examples, so up to 10 examples of past completed projects or finalist round design renderings or other examples of proposal projects. And so I think, this is, again, your opportunity to display your skill and your experience, but realizing that, maybe you only have one project that really aligns with the parameters of this project, one completed one. And, you want to have a couple of other examples of maybe renderings or unrealized projects, and that's totally fine. That displays that you've been, considered as a finalist or have the skills to develop designs that might meet the needs of this project. If you don't have 10 good examples, 10 strong examples, don't submit 10 images. Cater your past work samples to really strong examples of your work. Committees, oftentimes, if they see an artist has submitted, 10 examples and there's 5 really good examples and the other 5 are not very good, that sort of lessens their perspective oftentimes of whether or not they have the confidence in you to be selected for the project. The image list, this is another opportunity to bring your voice into that room with the committee. And so while we're asking for some of the straightforward logistical details, title, year, materials, dimensions, we have an additional comment section, 200 words per image entry. And this oftentimes can help provide a lot of clarity for committee members when they're looking at your portfolio. So you might want to highlight, the budget of the project that you're submitting, or speak about how the project met community needs or how it met the parameters of the call to artists that you had responded to. So this is a critical piece too, that again, just really helps to provide clarity and bring some of your personality into the room with those committee members. So don't, please fill out those additional comments and share a little bit more information about your project examples to provide us with context. It really goes a long way. And then the remaining section here is the application form that, if you're going to mail or hand deliver, will be included with all of these other items on a thumb drive. And so we have a front desk attendant at the Walters Cultural Arts Center. So if you want to drop it off by hand, someone should be there 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday, and then 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Or you can mail it in. Just make sure that if you mail it in, the application is received by the deadline, not postmarked on the deadline. So I'm going to jump out to the Cognito form and just run through that really quickly. The Cognito form might be a nice opportunity to keep the application a little bit easier to fill out and submit. So the Cognito form, we didn't include all of the background information, the full information in the call to artist document. But here we've just reiterated all of those required pieces of information. And then the form makes it really easy that you can't submit the form without any of the required information. So it requires you to fill out everything that we're looking for. You can upload files here into each of the categories for the letter, the statement, the past work samples, and the image list. So you can format all those documents as you see fit, drop them here, and then hit the submit button at the bottom. You'll receive a thank you for submitting your application notification, and there will be no questions as to whether it was delivered or not. So that kind of covers, I think, all the details and logistics for the project for the application phase. I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll open it up for any questions. And Leanne, please feel free to jump in if you think I missed anything or if you have any questions to ask.
No, I think you filled in everything that I would have added there. I guess the one question that I know has come up a little bit since we've opened this, that might be good for us to cover. If an artist already has an idea for the site, can they go ahead and submit that proposal for their project now in that image section?
Good point. Yeah, we're not looking for proposals at this phase in the project. And oftentimes that's kind of a turnoff for the committee members. And they really want to have the ability to make a decision based on your past work. And we never really want to ask artists to do that level of work without being compensated. So if you do have an idea, please hold on that for now and just follow the guidelines for using past work examples. For some of those, project renderings, even if you weren't a finalist and you have renderings for ideas for projects, that's fine to include. It'll be critical to note that in your image list that it was an unrealized project or that it was a design rendering for a finalist phase for a project. And that's where the additional comments can really come in handy in helping to clarify that.
I'd also probably add that, especially in that letter of interest, if you have an idea that's already sparked, feel free to mention that you have something in there, and explain your excitement with the project. As Carl said, we really like that personalization, and I know our committees really enjoy reading those kinds of letters of interest that are very personalized to the project. So if you have ideas, feel free to like mention this inspired me, or I'm drawn to this project because of these elements. These are pieces that I would consider in a proposal. But that's probably the closest to submitting an actual proposal in this part of the project that we would probably look for.
Yeah, great point, Leanne. All right, we have a chat question coming in, and I'll just read it so everyone can access it. So regarding the portfolio, since its sculpture is difficult to see all of the angles, is it okay if 5 images are submitted and add 5 details, 1 for each project? Yes, that's a great question. There's a total of 10 available image options. And so if you want to include details, then each detail image will count as one of your images. And then regarding the statement bio resume, can artists submit only one, or do we have to add all 3? So the statement bio resume, I think, can be flexible. If you want to include a specific statement, a specific bio, and a resume, that's fine. If you want to condense all of that information into one document, or into essentially one statement, that's fine too. So we left that flexible, so artists can determine how they want to present themselves.
I should, sorry to interrupt. I should say on that I believe the form is set up that it actually only accepts one document in that. So you would, if you decide to put all of those, you might need to combine like a PDF document if you were wanting to submit each of those.
Yeah, best to have it all combined in one document. And then the second part of the question was two pages is small to have a statement, bio, and resume. And so, within that 2 pages, I think focus on, especially if you're going to include a resume, condense your resume maybe to only relevant projects or the relevant information that you think is important to be considered for this project. So yeah, a lot of flexibility there in how you format all of that information. And I want to just take a step back to the images. Images are often a point of contention in committees and can be somewhat difficult to navigate. And so it's best to use those images with one, as was mentioned in the question, sort of one image of the overall work and maybe a detail. Or if you have maybe 3 good projects, then you could use an overall image and a couple details per project. But we really want to focus just on the artwork itself, maybe the context of how the artwork is cited in its location, if there's any engagement or sort of functional or interactive components, having some details there. And then again, the image list, that additional comment section is great to help describe, how those interactive components might work, how the project is situated in the context of the site, how it's been received by the community it's located in. So be very specific with the images and only representing the work, and try not to distract with other elements in the image. Thank you for the questions. Well, not seeing any other questions come in. Thank you for those of you that joined us this evening. Oh, one more here coming in. Another question, is it okay to add a video link of the project to the images list? I think so. I think that's fine. The committee will primarily be scoring based on the images, but it's some additional information I think is okay to include. And actually that will probably provide a clarification for that on the application page. But I think that's fine. Okay, well, my contact information is out there on the call to artists. So if there are any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out directly to me. Send me an email, give me a phone call, and we'll look forward to seeing your applications. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a great night. Thanks, Leanne.